are gonna sue the fish folk.
Welcome back to Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. I'm Adam.
I'm Aaron.
Yeah, those are the two I should know, right?
Oh, that's a good start. Good start.
Yeah. Today we're covering the second episode of Kenan and Kel season 1, which is the Tainting of the Screw.
I was pleasantly surprised to see that this was episode 2 of the show.
You know of this one?
This might be
right?
This might be the best episode.
It's really good for as early in the show as it is.
They did not want to save any ideas. They took their best idea and they put it right out there.
Yeah, they're sitting on like 60 other ideas that aren't as good as this one.
This one's the best.
Mm. Yeah, so I also had a good time, and I think we should get into talking about the episode. But first, you have another Dan Carlin-style intro for us.
Thank you. Thank you for the stage. As civilized human beings, we tend to have a short memory of our species. We think that because everybody today lives in a house with electricity and plumbing, then that's how people have always lived. Of course, we know that that's not true, but it's how we see the world, through our own rose-colored glasses. While the glasses of human history are indeed tinted rose, that stain comes from blood rather than flower petals. In fact, us Homo sapiens have spent far more time living in huts and warring with our neighbors than being, quote, civilized, unquote. For thousands of years, up until today, our society has been governed by a global contract, what we call the law. A society is strong if the law is enforced. Brutal as it may be, law enforcement has always been effective. Before wireless bank accounts and nuclear weapons, the ones who made and enforced the laws were the strongest in the tribe, the mighty. If you had a problem with these warlords, you best keep your mouth shut. Disobedience meant immediate execution, all the time. Our legal system has come a long way since the days of rape and pillage. English common law had a lot to do with that. Today, the law is enforced not by giant men, but by an agreed-upon written contract. In America, the Constitution. While our system is complicated, lawyers smooching off settlements, judges and juries equally liable for corruption, the system is effective. The most effective system of judgment the world has ever known. But I want you to consider for a moment a new society, one where other parties didn't have to represent you with legal jargon and formal garments, but you got to represent yourself. You defended your own rights. You spoke for yourself. You told the truth and were not penalized for colloquial language. This society would truly be ruled by the people, destroying every bourgeoisie in its path. Well, on a rainy day in Chicago in 1996, humanity got to witness this self-representative ideal in action. A young and courageous boy taking on a mammoth food distributor. He defended his own rights. He spoke for himself. He spoke the truth. It was clunky, but it was real. It was a glimpse at what is possible for our future as a free society. Of the people and by the people. Oh, here it goes.
Very good. Yeah.
Maybe too dramatic for this.
Yeah, it sets the tone for this gripping legal drama we're about to encounter.
It's the original Law and Order, this episode.
Yeah, of course. So getting right into that, we set the stage with Kenan once again looking for Kel. Kel nowhere to be seen.
Hey, where's Kel? I don't see Kel.
That's what someone in the audience said verbatim.
She yelled and pointed.
Hey, where's Kel? I don't see Kel.
And yes, Kel appears shortly after, dressed as a fisherman, ready with a bucket with a giant tuna in it.
What's funny is that Kel's fishing outfit looks almost like Kenan's normal outfit, except just different materials.
He is that baggy.
Equally baggy, equally buttoned, you know.
Always looks like he's like, wearing like a hockey player's uniform, but like without all the pads and.
No, maybe he might have the pads underneath. Like, you don't know.
That's true. So yes, Kenan pulls a giant tuna out of his bucket. Do you think that was a real tuna or some big prop?
You know, I was asking myself that question. It kind of looked like a real tuna, but it was probably fake. It was probably a really good fake tuna.
It's a good fake prop for the show.
Yeah, no, it looked like it moved realistically, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they would have used a real. They might run into animal rights activists. Although this is 1996, so I guess they weren't as prominent.
No, but yep. So they that gives Kenan an idea, which leaves Kel to ignite the show with his here it goes.
Well, I like what Kenan says right before Kel says that. You, me, tuna.
It's a good summary for the episode, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is Kenan, he's like, oh, we're about to get in this situation. I don't know how it ends, but I know that we're about to get in this situation somehow.
Kenan always seems to. It's a weird half aware of what's going on, half not aware.
Yeah.
When they step in front of that stage. Because the episode ends with the consequences still.
Yeah,
it's still Kenan from that lives in Chicago, but he's also delivering a show.
I do like how they didn't quite get to the global scale, but they definitely ramped up. The last episode where Kenan's just trying to get a car. Now it's okay, Kenan's trying to stick it to the man. It's quite a big step up, but I'm glad they didn't go global yet.
No, it'll get there, I'm sure. So, all right. First scene is in the Rockmore's kitchen. Did you notice the changes to the Rockmore household set?
I did. They moved the kitchen table, didn't they?
Yes, it's now in the kitchen, but the entire dividing wall between the family room and the kitchen is absent this episode.
It's just gone. Absolutely demolished.
So what I think happened is that since the last episode, the Rockmores did some renovating, and they decided to move their table into the kitchen and got rid of the entire wall in between. So
it looks nice. It does.
Mid construction, having a nice breakfast until Kel shows up, and.
This might be the best entrance of any character to any. So Kel walks in and
walks is a very casual way of saying it.
True. Kel barges in, but right before that, Mrs. Rockmore gives Mr. Rockmore a hot cup of coffee, and she says, "Oh, watch out! It's really hot," or something.
It's steaming.
It
is.
So naturally, he's like, "Oh, okay, I got it." And so he takes a sip, and as soon as he takes a sip, Kel walks in, coffee everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Be careful, this coffee is steaming hot.
Yeah.
Good morning, Cal.
Yep. Kel makes a huge scene, goes for his muffin, which Mr. Rockmore immediately devours entirely.
That was so irrational. He could have just moved it away from Kel.
Yeah, and he insists on having his mouth full for the next 30 seconds of conversation. As Kenan comes down, and again, a very, very large pajama outfit.
Baggy is in style.
They share a loud conversation, and Mr. Rockmore goes to change his outfits. Kenan and Kel play a basketball game in celebration of the game they're about to watch.
The Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. And Kel dunks a tomato onto Mr. Rockmore's new shirts, which it was like a 30-second costume change for him.
Yeah, the whole thing escalated pretty quickly. They went from just tossing it around to actually slamming it in people's areas and people's zones.
And so, yep, Kenan's parents leave, but not before his mother tells him that for lunch there's a can of tuna ready for him, which is very funny because the same scene starts with breakfast and ends with like
Within 3 minutes, it's yep.
Did Kenan just sleep in all day and his parents also waited for like brunch time?
Yeah, that's what it seems like for sure. I do want to bring up one thing, one other thing that happened. So it's right. I mean, they ask where their parents are going. Kenan asks where his parents are going.
Oh, yeah, right.
And they say they're going to see Aunt Bertha, right?
Yep.
Aunt Bertha.
Second occurrence of Aunt Bertha.
Yes. A character that I don't know if we ever meet, but anyways, right now we have not met her, and so they're going to see Aunt Bertha, and then Mr. Rockmore says, "She's all puffy."
Yep. And if last time that we met her, they were getting her pistachio nuts.
That's right.
So my theory is that she had an allergic reaction to the pistachios.
Quite possible.
Which is weird because they specifically wanted to get her those, but I guess she was allergic.
Yep, exactly. What's funny about what he said, like she's all puffy, that might have been the funniest line in this first scene, but there was no laughs. So what must have happened was that he must have said it like a few times and kept messing up.
Yeah, I also noticed that if you pay attention, Mr. Rockmore says Kel's name wrong.
What does he
calls
say?
him he calls him Cal. Like a very
Kenan and Cal.
Yeah, I'll put the clip in, but he's clearly still learning his
role.
The name of his son's best friend.
Hey, Mrs. Lockmore. Morning, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you got coffee all down your shirt.
Gee, well, thanks for informing me, Cal.
So Kenan and Cal have a celebratory to like the Tuna Some Island music.
Yeah,
some
like
nice tuna meal.
Yeah, some Caribbean like Latina music.
But Kel goes to turn on the game. Kenan goes to turn on the game, and Kel brings him his sandwich, which he immediately starts choking on.
Yep, first bite.
So this is one of my favorite lines from Kel here when they're talking about it, and he says, "Are you hungry?"
Because Kenan's hand.
And Kenan pauses in his choking to give him a look, which is real good. Then he continues choking.
Kenan's choking here is, it's really good acting because the role isn't for him to actually like look like he's choking. The role is for him to fake it's very clear that these are just two kids trying to make a funny TV show, right? This is a funny TV show, and so it doesn't have to be that serious, like choking, like somebody's actually. So Kenan plays that up, and he is. It is. I wish the listeners could watch it because it's pretty great.
I guess it's a good time to say we highly recommend watching this episode. If you can find it on Amazon. Nowhere else, unless you bought a DVD like 12 years ago from a shady online seller.
We're bringing it back to life.
Yeah, hopefully this show can get the attention of Nickelodeon and they can make a deal with Netflix or something.
Or Nickelodeon can sponsor us. Also an option. We are welcome to negotiations. Anyways.
Kel performs the Heimlich maneuver. And then they get into they inspect what came out of Kenan, and they find a screw in the lump of tuna, which prompts a really cool transition from them saying a screw to Chris, slam cut to Rigby's saying a screw, examining with a magnifying glass.
The transitions between scenes are they're definitely better than the first episode, but
later episodes they have for some reason, they have a real cartoony vibe to them. They always have like clip art show up on screen and a bunch of weird stuff like that. But in this episode, no, it's really artfully done.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. We'll mention the other transitions when it happens.
Sure. Chris, kind of after reprimanding Kel for drinking orange soda off the shelf.
Of course.
I counted at this and Cal drinks 2 liters this episode
Yep.
from Chris's shop and 1 on his own.
So that's 3.
Yeah, so add 3 to the total volume count, which is a lot for like a couple days, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, could it have been the same bottle? Yes, but we always have to assume that it's a brand new bottle. Yes.
And that he finishes each one of them eventually.
Yep. We have to.
Unless stated otherwise. So Kenan has been doing some research and found out about a lady who sued because she found half a frog in her fried chicken.
Yep.
For $10,000. Which Cal is like, oh, you know what we got to do? Find the other half of that frog.
Again, the 10,000 number comes up. The same digits that were in the same desired number that was in the first episode. Mm-hmm. So the fixation on $10,000.
It's I don't want to bog down every time we say number with saying what it is nowadays, but it's still a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like it's probably $100,000 or something to that tune.
Oh, now I don't know about that. That's
yeah,
that's quite
it's
the
that without a
inflation.
0. Yep. So I did the number for the $10 million earlier.
Oh, okay.
So take
we'll
off
get
3
there.
zeros.
We'll get there.
$16,500 is approximately what
okay.
it is. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a good settlement. But Chris recommends that they talk to his lawyer cousin, and Cal first, which I'm going to pay attention to this. He references that he has another cousin in the circus.
Yes.
Which not exactly funny, but I kind of want to see if he has any circus skills that come into play later in the series.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's a good thing to look out for sure. So right before we transition to the next scene, Kenan says, "We are gonna sue the fish folk and get rich."
Yep, that's the whole, which is pretty good.
That's the thesis of the episode for sure.
Absolutely. So yes, then transition time. Everyone says so, and then the lawyer, bam, slams down.
But the lawyer is the transition here is the lawyer, like the silhouette of the lawyer slides in from the right side of the screen to the left, and then it's brilliant. It's like, and it changes the scene as he moves. It's brilliant.
It's cool. But then yeah, they get right down to business. He believes that Kenan's case is worth $5 to $10 million, which. I like how I also like how throughout the episode that $5 million is just thrown out. Kenan just goes right for the top shelf.
The most money you could possibly get if everything goes right is $10 million. So what does Kenan fixate on? Of course, of course.
The amount of money that starts him drooling into a cup, and then he throws that cup like onto himself.
He doesn't. Yeah, he dumps the water. He dumps the water on himself. Because that's what we all do when we're blown away by some information.
We cover ourselves with our own saliva.
Yep.
Chris's lawyer cousin wants 40% though, but that's way too much for Kenan's liking.
Kenan would end up with $6 million, but that's not enough. That's not that $10 million that we talked about.
So he makes the probably poor legal decision of representing himself.
Why did you say probably?
He does. The decision is, well, I assume that as a 15-year-old has established last episode, he's there's certainly some just legal fees that are incurred, right? So I didn't really look this up.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the state of Illinois, but there's some gathering the jury and the judge and stuff like that. It's not a.
Oh yeah. I've been watching a lot of Better Call Saul, so that's all about lawyers and all about the law and the judicial system. Basically, there's always like these, like if somebody gets sued or somebody's sued by somebody else, there's always these hearings and these like all of these things that lawyers go through to try to settle it so they don't have to go to trial, because trial is always really, really expensive. And if you sue somebody, it's like it could be years long of this whole process. But no, this happens like the next week or whatever.
Within a week, I'd say.
Within a week, absolutely. But anyways, for the sake of the show, right? They want to go right to trial. Jump right in to represent themselves. They don't even know. We'll get there.
All right, so we go to Kenan's bedroom, same set as last time, and Kenan goes again to his magic computer and types in a letter to all news media for a press conference he's having.
Imagine a device.
Yep. Then he and Kel have separate fantasies about what they would do with all this money. Kenan imagines himself in his living room just full of all kinds of arcade machines and
cars.
Just giving thousands of dollars out to people that he sees there.
That deserves $1,000. And there's a car sitting in the living room. There's a motorcycle that his parents are on. It's
which questions how he got those into his house and why he just wants to have them there.
Quite the vision, Kenan.
So yeah, and funny enough, he tips Chris, who is his waiter, $1.
Not 1,000, one.
Yeah. So that's he slowly between that all this, not counting the value of all the stuff in his car, but he immediately goes through, including his $1.2 million speaker system, $303,000 and $1.
Yeah, in like a 2-minute window of this vision that he had.
So
no savings,
so $10 million
no
would
retirement
last him
plan.
like a day, right?
Yep, nothing. It's just absolutely spending all of it at once. Because I mean, could you imagine first off, the stereo system that was $1.2 million? It was like one speaker built into the wall. It was giant. It was the size of a door.
But that was really good for 96.
Yeah, nowadays that would be worth like, I don't know,
$800.
$800, yeah, something like that.
And do you want to tell everyone about what Kel's dream is?
Kel's dream. Kel is sitting at a table, and in front of him on the table is a pile of ham. And hanging around him are just giant pieces of ham. And there's ham everywhere. And this is Kel's...
there's a hammy fog around him.
Yep, ham.
It's just
there's like barrels of ham, and he's just sitting there like, ham.
So clearly at this phase, they knew that Kel liked orange soda because he's always shown drinking it, but it's not established that he loves it yet more than like life itself.
Yep.
So they're still doing that kind of lull random thing where it's just about, I guess, ham. So
yeah, you're throwing stuff on the wall, seeing what sticks.
Later this season, we'll see Kel's true nature show itself.
Really quick, what I loved about this room scene, where they're in Kenan's room and then they pan out to the visions. I really enjoyed how Kenan especially, but Kel too, are laughing through every scene. It's the things they're saying, and Kenan is so exaggerated. Everything Kenan says, is an exaggeration, and with an exclamation point. And they're just like laughing because it's really funny, and they're really enjoying the show. They're like enjoying making it.
Their chemistry is really apparent, and that was in the last episode too, when they have that scene on the couch pretending to be in a car.
Yeah,
like just when they're just like fooling around with each other. It's real entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like they're really friends. Which, yeah, at this time, I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah, they've gone through like the ringer over the past 20 years or so.
That's
but
a long
I think
time.
They're friends again, producing stuff together.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so...
This was the original Key and Peele.
Yeah, Kenan and Kel.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
Okay, so they have a press conference with way too many reporters for a kid and another kid telling a story about their what they've encountered. Kenan has made up a bunch of symptoms that he has. Do you know it? Do you recall any of them?
Post tuna. stress disorder.
Yep. PTSD, as most people know it.
Yep.
Nightmares, jitters, heebie-jeebies.
Heebie-jeebies. What I love about this scene is how sympathetic the reporters are. They really care. They care deeply about this boy's trauma.
They go through a whole arc too. Their first question is like, "Isn't that a lot of money?" And their last question is, "You should like do 20 million.
You should do more money. You should sue them for." Well, I just love how people throw around the notion of suing somebody. Like they're just throwing it around. Like, oh yeah, I'll sue you for $10 million. Yeah, that'll be easy.
Sure. Next.
Wait. Before we go.
Yes.
In this scene, first off, it's at Rigby's, and Kenan's sitting on the counter, and Kenan has a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Why he has a microphone is a good question. Because it's a press conference, and you need a microphone for a press conference. Yeah, but also I wonder if this scene would have flown today, because Kenan's basically making up mental illnesses, which.
Yeah, I was. It's really a really defendable case in court. Like the defense doesn't have to do anything; they just have to be like, the plaintiff is clearly making up things. like all he needs to do is one like sanity test or something, whatever they have to do.
Yeah, but just like exactly. But the social notion is they're kind of just like, PTSD, joke. Today, like that would not fly in a TV show. They'd have to be like, oh,
it's two 15-year-olds that could have just made this up on their own.
I know. It's funny though. Anyways, we can go on to the next scene. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, sure. Chris gets a call later from Rigby's about a cash settlement from Luna Tuna, which they promptly go to their office. And I love the decor in this office.
I love the office. I love that they walked in by themselves.
Well, they've got like a ship statue in the back, all these like fish on the walls, and like a bust of Poseidon, I think. Just because they're like, yeah, it's tuna, so we live through this. It's it's also a company that doesn't make anything else. They just make tuna.
Just
apparently.
tuna, no other products. Also interesting are the clocks of different time zones on the wall.
It's to show that Luna Tuna spans the globe. So
yes.
in a way, they're concerned about their reputation globally.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, you're right. There's that global piece. But yeah, the clocks are definitely from Walmart, which is also funny. I think actually all the decor was probably from Walmart.
The busts and stuff. Yeah, they just go into the fishing aisle.
Yep. Because that's what they have in the fishing aisle. Poseidon bust.
So the president, after hearing Kenan's plea, makes him several offers, which Kenan continuously denies. The first being a lifetime supply of tuna.
Quite the deal to pass up.
Yeah, actually, I think, and Kenan makes a pretty good point about that. He says a lifetime of screws worth to choke on. I'm like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Of all the things I would want, more tuna's not the answer.
Exactly. Good job,
Even
Kenan.
even if he's making up his symptoms.
Can we even call him symptoms?
Right.
He was faking the whole thing. He goes, I am damaged. Not quite.
So next they offers $1,000, followed by $5,000, and finally $1 million including a lifetime supply.
I am at a loss for words. Because the jump from 5,000 to 1 million, it seems it seems too unrealistic for this show.
And not to get conspiratorial about it, but he had like the check ready to go. Like he knew like 5,000 was like a pretty low ball. He had this consultant come over and like they sorted it out. So my question to you, and this is not a question of my own, a Big Orange Couch, the 90s Nickelodeon podcast. I covered this episode, and they had a pretty good bit, which I want to replicate here. At what offer would you take? Would you have accepted $1,000 if this was your case?
No, actually, I was thinking about that. I would not have accepted 1,000. That is
5,000 though.
I would have if it got to 5,000. I would have had my eyes set on 15,000 and then tried to get up around 10 or 8.
Yeah, so that sounds a little more reasonable.
Yeah.
I would not go anywhere over like 50,000.
No,
let alone.
No, I mean, maybe throw it out. Maybe be. I think first off, Kenan and Kel are not expert negotiators, but it might have helped their case to say, not to say 10 million, but once an actual offer is placed on the table to say, 50,000, because then they would have to go up a little bit. That's
but Kenan has his eye on that 10K, 10M,
10 million.
10 mils, which, and 1 million, even though it's like a fifth of his lawyer's lowball.
Yeah. 1 million. Well, I don't. He said no. What the best thing about this scene, is definitely when Kenan and Kel are, and maybe you can put this clip in, when they are like saying how they know their rights. And they're psh, 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 and then Kel says the best line, "I know my constipation."
It's very good, yes.
So maybe we'll throw that in.
Because of you, I am now paranoid. I am traumatized, and fishophobic. Right. Now, I demand $10 million. Now, what you got to say about that?
That's right. That's my man throwing down. Know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know my bill of left.
Know my constipation. Know what I'm saying?
Shoot. Hey, I ain't going nowhere. Hey, nowhere. What?
But then they get thrown out, and immediately, we'll see you in court. Which we don't see them. We go back to Kenan's room for a scene.
Yeah, thank goodness, because if court was the same day, that'd be a little too much to bear.
Yeah, so in Kenan's room, he has set up a jury of stuffed animals, which Kel keeps commenting on the location of the monkey. Which Kenan slams him in the drawer, and Kel's like, "That's a jury tampering," which I like a lot.
It was very clever joke, because up until this point, you don't actually think that Kel knows anything about the world and how it works. but he brings up jury tampering. It's like, oh, that's a real,
After a very long night of practicing Kel's speech, they have gone through the entire defense, essentially. Had several pizzas and bags of popcorn just destroyed behind them. I thought the pizza was funny because no pizza's fully eaten.
Yeah, they got 2 pizzas and they ate.
There's
some
2.5 pizzas there between 3 boxes.
This is a great Kel scene. Mm-hmm. Right, so Kenan is questioning Kel. They're practicing for when Kel is witnessing on the jury, or not on the jury, when Kel's witnessing, before the jury, and Kel is just nailing this scene. Kenan keeps asking him questions, and he's clearly recited them for hours now, and it's
not to my knowledge.
And it's just spot on Kel. It's where it's the first time we actually see, I don't know.
And I think they would, regardless of their made-up ailments, I think that it'd be a pretty good and powerful thing if it made it to courts.
Yeah, definitely.
Not the case.
No.
All right. So the next scene, we are finally hammered, gavelled down in court, and not the volcanic climax, but I think the whole court scene is really funny. All their little comments and jokes earlier. The judge calls for the plaintiff, and Kenan is like, "Where you think the plaintiff would be here on time?" Looks at the name plate, and he's like, "Ooh."
He's very surprised, and then he says, "He goes, I, Kenan Rockmore, the plaintiff."
Winks at the judge.
Really, before we get into it, we were talking about transitions a little bit. The transition to this scene is pretty cool because Judge's desk falls from the top of the screen, and then Kenan's desk comes in from the side. I'm like, wow, nice job, Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
well
they
done.
did some neat stuff with it. Kenan makes his defense. The bailiff exhibits his can of tuna, his screw, and he calls Kel to the scene. Who, the biggest laugh so far of mine is that the bailiff has him raise his hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? And he gives him a high five.
And this is after the bailiff, he was following Kel up to the stage, and Kel was like, "Why are you following me?" And then,
"Why you follow me, man? Why you follow me?"
Yeah, and then he gives him a high five. Yes, classic Kel. Well done there.
So Kenan begins to start their practice routine, and Kel immediately breaks down.
Doesn't get through one question.
Starts crying. And I have to put the whole clip in because it's incredible.
Yes. And what is the phrase that he says over and over?
I dropped the screw in the tuna.
Would you care to tell the court in your own words what happened on the morning of October the 6th? I did it! Kenan! I'm sorry, man! I did it! It was an accident! I didn't mean it! I dropped the screw in the tuna! I dropped the screw in the tuna! It was me! Oh, the humanity!
And the truth comes out, and the truth is revealed. I counted 9 times that he yells it.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's a lot. The tuna companies shares a mischievous grin with each other, and he starts bouncing off the courtroom. He eats the whole scene. He climbs over into the judge's box, shouts into the microphone, pleads with the bailiff, "Don't take me to jail." And he does this. I remember seeing this as a kid, and just it's so weird what he does with his feet and his sneakers.
Yeah, he inverts his feet, and his knees come together, and his feet are out really far apart.
He's struggling to stand.
He can't stand up. He's so weak with the truth.
I've never seen anyone ever do that for comedy or any purpose.
He just invented it. It was brilliant, really.
And he's just on his knees in front of Kenan saying, "We're still boys, right? I love you, man."
What's great about this scene is that it takes place in court. And in every court, there is a scribe who is writing down everything that happens. And so there's this woman, and she has a tiny typewriter. It's not a computer. It's not even a big type. It's a tiny typewriter, and she's typing up everything that's happening. And
I'd love to see that in writing.
And she's just kind of looking around, and she still has to keep typing by law. So she's just typing, witness yells, "I dropped the screw in the tuna."
There's cameras in the back, and Kenan, look, this whole scene, he looks like he's just engorged with laughter, just trying to hold back.
Yeah, yeah. He's wearing a suit with basketball shoes.
Yeah, both of them have their basketball shoes on.
And Kel also has a backwards hat on, of course.
Yeah. His signature backwards hat.
Yes.
Or signature hat, I should say. And yeah, Kenan rests the defense. And that's the end of the episode. But until we go to the curtains, Kenan admits that plan didn't work out, but all he needs to do is find another screw. And Cal has Cal on the case, who has gone through dozens of cans of tuna looking for a screw.
Yeah, and there's a giant pile of tuna that Kel is dumping the cans into. And, I don't want to put a damper on the scene, but there's way more tuna than there are cans.
It's I'd say equally cartoony to the pile of cereal in the last episode.
Yeah. Definitely. Like, if they had to, take that pile of cereal and make it a pile of tuna, it was pretty, they probably just have, like, a pile, and then they put stuff on top of it. Like, they have a giant paper mache, blob.
Yeah, it's a lump that they just dress up with other stuff.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. The past 2 episodes they used it.
Yep, and that's the episode. It's a really good time, I gotta say.
I would agree. That was I would say leaps and bounds ahead of episode number 1.
Very laser focused.
Yeah.
They knew the situation. They knew like what they're getting into, and the whole episode's about it.
And they were able to have a lot of fun within the the confines of the episode, within the plot. They were able to show themselves more, and they were able to have more funny conversations and do funnier things because it was more narrow.
Scene for scene, it's everyone's having a great time. We proposed this last episode, and I want to keep it going. Kenan was clearly at fault for the previous episode. Whose fault do you think it is this week?
It's Cal's fault, of course.
Mm-hmm. So my answer is both, because this is kind of going against the traditional formula of what defines later episodes. I would call it Kenan gets them into a situation and Cal makes it worse. Or this is the opposites. Cal gets them into a situation and Kenan makes it worse.
Much
because
worse.
It's Kenan's idea to sue. It's Kenan who gets gets his eye set on that $10 million prize. And I noted several times throughout the episode where Cal's like, Kenan, I gotta tell you something. He's like, no, I gotta send out this letter.
No, I'm busy.
Yeah. When they offer him $1 million, Cal is begging Kenan.
Yeah.
He's like, Kenan, you gotta take it. You gotta take it.
He doesn't. At no point does he pull Kenan aside and say, "Hey, I really have to say something to you." Of course, that would not be as funny. But
it's the I'd call that the stupidity of Cal this episode.
Yep, absolutely. He digs a grave, and they both just keep digging it deeper and deeper. Like, it goes to court. It goes to court before a jury. Everybody has to get paid. Kenan thinks there's no cost because he doesn't have a lawyer. Well,
and honestly, Cal does. He's a good friend in this episode because, even after Kenan immediately turns down the $1 million that he was just begging for, he has Kenan's back. And he's like his wingman.
I know my constipation.
Yeah. I'm calling it. If you agree with me, both their faults in this one.
I could see that. I could definitely see that for sure.
Because Kenan could have easily settled this, and they'd have $1 million.
$1 million. Could you imagine the nature of the show if those two got $1 million?
Yeah, and with inflation.
Probably 1.6, right?
Yep, 1.65, and same thing for the
wow
10 million. So it's a butt ton of money.
Lot of money.
And maybe he doesn't get the speaker system, and he could still do all the fun stuff that he wanted.
give away hundreds of thousands of dollars,
just instantly to his friends. Looking at what Kenan and Cal owe Rigby's. Very little this episode.
Yeah.
You could say, they got into a situation where they lost legal fees, and but nothing was specified, so I'm not counting it.
Yeah, there wasn't much damage to Rigby's.
Just 2 bottles of orange soda that they pilfered off Chris.
Not much.
Yeah. So I think he's still in the red to them from all those comics that that he scratched and sniffed last time.
Can't forget.
Yep. And Kenan's probably still grounded.
Most likely. If he was grounded, I don't know how he made his way to, the Luna Tuna office. But, that's a question for another day.
Yeah. Okay, and that's pretty much all just that Aunt Bertha has recovered from pneumonia and and probably had her allergic reaction to pistachio nuts. I hope that we hear more from her as time goes on.
So, Adam, what would you rate this episode?
I was pretty torn because I don't want to give the second episode like a 10, even though it kind of deserves it. It's pretty through the roof, amazing, really good, and I want to say that I might come back and revisit my score here, but I want to give it a 9 out of 10 just because everything's still in its infancy. Kel has a very explosive finale, but throughout most of the episode, he's a little on the quieter side. He's kind of Kenan's backup guy. I think a good episode has a little more dynamic between them. So 9 out of 10 bottles of orange soda.
I would give it 8 out of 10 bottles of orange soda because I don't like to go too high too soon. But you're right; it does set a good precedent and a good standard for future episodes. It's
an amazing first episode.
Yeah, no, it's
or like second.
Second, yeah, it's really well done. I think you're right about Kel. I think there is more room for like character development still, and there was a lot of funny. Like I laughed a lot watching the episode, but there's still like that little thing. It's like the episode was kind of too unrealistic, but
sure.
Of course it's going to be. But I don't know. So there's room. There's still room.
Yeah.
So I give it 8.
I know later episodes we see more from Chris. We see Kel and Kenan's dad's dynamic gets more intense, and so I think it's 9 is what it's on my board. So all right, I think that about wraps it up here, unless you have any other notes.
No, I think that was it. The episode was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to rewatch it, and I was laughing a lot. So I hope all the listeners give it a shot and go find it somewhere.
Yeah, and thank you for giving us a shot. You can find our Twitter handle, KK and AA, to see postings about this show.
We haven't changed it yet.
No, I haven't. Let's see. And next time, get ready for our follow. Do you know the name of the follow-up episode?
The next episode is called "Doing Things the Hemingway."
Yes, which is a very elaborate title.
It says a lot. The story is right there.
Very literate.
Yes.
Of them.
Absolutely.
So, all right, join us next time as we do things the Hemingway.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
All right. Oh, here it goes.
Oh, here it goes. I missed it. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at KenanKelPodcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody.
Wow!